Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned in to NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, Atlantis to spend $45 million on upgrading the Royal Towers and other capital works at the resort. More suggestions raised to the Constitutional Reform Commission. The country records its 89th murder. Teachers taking a day off no matter what the government says. Plus, we continue our observation of Breast Cancer Month with a message for younger Bahamian women. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige McCartney, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. Atlantis expects to create hundreds of new jobs for Bahamians next year as it prepares to begin major projects. The world-renowned resort will also spend tens of millions of dollars over the next few months as it carries out renovations on its iconic Royal Towers and Cove. President and Managing Director George Markantonis says this should send a clear message to those naysayers who believe Brookfield Asset Management plans to put the resort on the market. Fanique Toot reports.
Atlantis officials have received authorization to move ahead with a number of exciting projects in 2013, which are expected to create hundreds of new jobs for Bahamians. This year, President and Managing Director George Markantonis says their new owner has committed to spending more than $40 million on capital works. Markantonis told reporters today during a news conference that the resort's team is working with Brookfield Asset Management on 10 additional projects for 2013. He says it's too early to give details, but the number of jobs expected to be created is in the triple digits. But first, he says they're focused on renovations.
One of the most significant ones is that we're also presently redoing the Royal Towers, the iconic Royal Towers, that, as you all know, opened in 1998, and we have already sourced the product and are about to start on the West Tower, which is one half of the Royal, 600 rooms, and we expect to be done somewhere in February with the West Tower, and then we will progress straight over to the East Tower to refresh that one, and that is a very landmark process.
Next year, the country's largest resort will renovate the lavish Cove, which opened in 2007. He noted that hotels have a lifespan of 5 years, but Atlantis does not plan to wait until its structures are run down to revitalize them. This announcement comes 1 month after American billionaire Philip Ruffin revealed that if the price was right, he'd be interested in purchasing the Atlantis resort. Well, Markantonis says these new projects are proof their new owner is in it for the long haul.
We've been delighted to work with the government, and in fact, we've talked directly with the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister on these improvements and these additions, because they just are very, very positive. And I think also for the naysayers that may have existed in the past, it certainly reflects the commitment of our new ownership, Brookfield, to put money in to the projects and stay in them for the long term. You wouldn't be doing this if you were planning to flip something 1 week from now.
Renovations are set to begin during a traditionally slow period for the hotel industry. Markantonis says their occupancy levels are similar to what they were last year.
We all know September and October tend to be a little lighter. Of course, August was stronger. August was a monster month. But I think we also have to bear in mind that last year in August we had to deal with Tropical Storm Irene, I think it was, on that last week, and you'll recall the airport shut for 2 weeks, and we had certainly some occupancy damage there. We expect October to be marginally better than the same month last year. We have a very strong November and December.
Markantonis says we'll be hearing more about those projects in the near future. Reporting for NB12, I'm Fanique Toot.
The country's largest resort is also preparing to invest more than $10 million to enhance its cuisine options. It's a move that will create an additional 50 permanent jobs at the Atlantis Resort. Atlas Bar and Grill will be transformed into Olives, a modern restaurant which focuses on Mediterranean cuisine. Vice President of Food and Beverage Ian Reed says Atlas currently has 100 employees. However, they will hire an additional 43 people once construction is complete.
We've decided that it's time to remodel the Atlas Bar and Grill, and so we've joined forces with a very famous chef from Boston. His name is Chef Todd English. He's very famous for a restaurant of his called Olives, and we'll be starting development of this Olives concept in the Atlas location. We start construction on the 1st of November, and we'll be opening as a new Olives on the 1st of May 2013. We're very excited to have his concept. It's a very vibrant concept. It's Mediterranean, modern Mediterranean cuisine, very big focus on fresh seafood.
And English has over 20 restaurants across the United States. The resort is also renovating its Baccarat Lounge located in the casino. Its staff complement will increase from 3 employees to 10.
We recognize that the casino plays obviously a very important role in the customers that come to the Bahamas, and so it's time to remodel one of the lounges we have there. It's commonly known as the Baccarat Lounge, and in conjunction with the Atlas remodel into the Olives concept, we'll also do an extensive remodel of the existing Baccarat Lounge, and that will also go into construction on the 1st of November, and that will open slightly earlier next year on the 1st of April.
Reed said while construction is ongoing, the current staff at both locations will be absorbed into other areas of the resort. And the Constitutional Review Commission moving forward with its agenda to recommend changes in advance of the country's 40th anniversary of independence. Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett addressed the commission before going into a closed session today. Christina McNeil was there, and she filed this report.
Despite previous attempts to introduce change to the Constitution, Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett says the current conditions are different and may bode well for change. This as he addressed the Constitutional Review Commission prior to a closed session meeting this morning. Sir Michael, who served as deputy chairman on the last Constitutional Commission, reminded commission members to familiarize themselves with the proposals made in 1981 and 2002, as well as the interim report made in 2006. Those, he said, set the backdrop and lay the foundation for the work of this current commission.
There have been no significant constitutional crisis in the past 40 years. There were 2 previous attempts at amending the Constitution since 1973. One in early 1981 and the other in 2002. Both were unsuccessful. Whilst there are provisions which, with hindsight, have appeared to be unnecessarily restrictive, and with the benefit of experience and hindsight, provisions which may strengthen our democracy could be enacted. I suggest that this experience shows that, as was the view of the 2006 Commission, there is no compelling case for any complete overhaul of our system of government and the principles that undergird it.
The 13-member commission was appointed August 1st and will have until March 31st to make a report on its recommendations. The commission, headed by Queen's Counsel and former Attorney General Sean McQueenie, is expected to expand and build upon the groundwork laid by the first Constitutional Committee under the first Christie-led administration. The inaugural commission recommended that the British monarch no longer be the Bahamas' head of state and that the office of the Governor-General be abolished. Today, Sir Michael said there's no doubt that important changes can and should be made to the Constitution. The Chief Justice pushed Commission members to approach the decisions of the Founding Fathers with a critical eye to determine what is best for the country's citizens in the present day.
You must keep an open mind and always ask yourselves the question, why are we doing it this way? I am particularly pleased that there are a number of young persons on the Commission. You were not raised in the colonial era and therefore bring with you a perspective not colored by an affectionate longing to retain the vestiges of our colonial past. I urge you also not to be afraid to be critical of some of the decisions made by the Founding Fathers that they made in 1973. I must confess that they made some decisions which seem inexplicable.
One such change Sir Michael says he will recommend to the Commission relates to the judiciary and the qualifications for a Justice of the Court of Appeal.
One of the matters that I thought was a bit surprising was the requirement in the Court of Appeal that a judge of the Court of Appeal had to have prior judicial experience before he could be appointed to the Court of Appeal. And I've not found that provision in any other constitution. And I'm a bit surprised that they would put such a restriction on the appointment of Justice of Appeal, because it excluded a lot of persons who would otherwise be eligible or who would otherwise serve as suitable judges of the Court of Appeal.
Sir Michael added that Commission members should consider how the provisions can strengthen democracy, protect citizens from abuse, and comply with obligations as a responsible member of the international community, in particular the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Commission is expected to meet about every 2 weeks to review constitutional issues and prepare its recommendations ahead of the March 31st deadline. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.